This month, I set myself a challenge to prepare 28 dinners for a family of 4 in 6 hours for under £150. My goal was to save time and money, but the challenge significantly improved my life in a way I wasn't expecting at all. So let's start the clock. The night before, I put a pork shoulder onto slow cook so that it could be out of the slow cooker and shredded and portioned out, ready for me to slow cook something else. I decided to do a slow cooker shoulder of pork as my plan was to split that meat across 2 different meals, so a burger night and as the meat topper for a Mexican tray bake dump bag. This was a really great way of making one piece of meat go a long way and was really time efficient too. Now let's look at the first hour of the challenge. The first hour kicked off with preparing all of the vegetables and getting all of the tinned goods ready to go into the meals. And this is by far the most time efficient way to save yourself extra work and preparation across the 6 hours. I chopped up so many onions, garlic, potatoes, peppers, you name it. But it was really worthwhile exercise because everything was then ready for every meal that I had planned to make. So why did I want to do this challenge in the first place? Well, I have 2 young children and a really busy life. And we've been actively trying to reduce ultra-processed foods in our diet and cook more from scratch. We've just come to the end of a major kitchen renovation. I'm so happy to be back in my house with my freezers, and now I'm really looking for ways to cut down our food spend in 2026, as last year was pretty expensive, as you can imagine. So next up, I browned the meat and the veggies for the Bolognese, and I got all of that into the slow cooker. And that was so that the meal could slow cook in the background, ready for me to store later in the challenge and use for another recipe that I had planned. And this brings me on to my first piece of advice. Try and collate meals which have crossover ingredients, as this is a great money and time-saving thing to do. So with this Bolognese, I doubled up the portion. I bulked out the recipe with extra vegetables and lentils. For variety, I planned 2 different meals using the same base sauce. We're reaching the end of the first hour, and there's one quick no-cook job left to do, and that's assembling dump bags. Before this experiment, I have always been a fan of batch cooking. When I used to work in London, batch cooking saved me so much on late nights when I had 0 energy to cook. Dump bags are a great tool to use. Essentially, you take a freezer bag and you fill it with the raw ingredients that you need for a meal. Usually these tend to be meals that you would cook in a slow cooker or as a tray bake. And batch cooking is such a game changer, provided that you're clever with the meals that you choose. So this month, dump bags were top on my list. Recipes that I created were a series of tray bakes, so 1 chicken and vegetable, Mexican sweet potato and bean tray bake, topped with the pork that I slow cooked overnight, and also the meat and peppers and onions for a chicken fajita tray bake. I also made a chicken casserole slow cooker dump bag, and what was great across these dump bags was I was able to use chicken thighs, which was slightly better value than chicken breast because of the way that the meat is cooked in the recipes. It works really well. During our renovation, we were without our kitchen for at least 6 months, and we were eating out of friends and family's kitchens all the time. So dump bags were our absolute saviour, as all you really need is the dump bag and your slow cooker, and the meal is sorted for you. So the first hour is down, and next I moved on to assembling chicken and fish goujons ready to be oven baked before I froze them. When you are doing a batch cook like this, I think it really is important to be realistic in what foods your family enjoy and the portion sizes you need. So in my case, I planned out all the meals and wrote up one big shopping list. I listed out all the meals that the kids liked eating, added a few in there that I really wanted them to try, with some safe options as sides in case those meals got rejected. And then I picked the top 14 meals from this list and planned out a 2-week meal plan that would repeat halfway through the month. meaning each meal was prepared as a double-sized portion. I then looked to see what overlaps there were so that I could maximise ingredients and make the most efficient choices, and made a huge list in Excel of all of the ingredients that I would need for each meal. This stage was absolutely critical for me keeping the costs down and ensuring no waste in the ingredients. And there is absolutely no way I could have done the shop without that list and remembered everything I needed. So once the chicken and fish goujons were out of the oven and cooled, they were then frozen. All I needed to do was reheat them in the air fryer when we were ready. So we're now 2 hours in, and it was time to make the mac and cheese sauce. Our kids absolutely love mac and cheese, and I really like it because this is very easy for me to hide some extra vegetables in the form of mashed up butternut squash and blended up butter beans, as they have no idea that they're there. When you are batch cooking, if you can try and find meals that use similar sauces, this is such a great time efficiency tool. So I made a lot of this mac and cheese sauce, as my plan was to use some of it for lasagna and also to use a little bit as a cheesy topping for enchiladas. Now we're coming up to the 3-hour mark, and we're going to make a vegetable chili sauce and a vegetable curry. So ideally, I would also have been cooking the sauce for the fish pie at this point, but I learned a really important lesson here. We have been awful at finishing off our kitchen since we moved back in, amidst the furniture assembly and all of the painting that we had to do. Buying new pans for our induction hob, unfortunately, still was on our to-do list. So this challenge was a little bit harder for me, as I only actually had 2 saucepans that I could use. And if I had bought the extra pans, I would have saved so much time. So I will definitely be getting more before the next month. However, the one thing I did do well is I maximised using one base sauce that could cross over 2 different meals. For the vegetable chili, my plan was to have the vegetable chili with rice on 2 nights in the month, but then I took the sauce and I used that as an enchilada filling, topped with some of the leftover mac and cheese sauce from the last bit of preparation that I did. And this just helped us have a little bit more variety in the month, but was equally very budget friendly. Both the chili and the curry used quite a lot of tinned ingredients and a lot of vegetables too. We're trying to hit our 30 plant points as much as possible, so having meals like this in the meal plan was really important to us. The next step took quite a bit of time, but was really, really important. Peeling and cooking potatoes is just something I don't have time for every day. And I do think it's important to be as efficient as possible in a challenge like this and try and cook in zones within the batch. So in this case, I made the dump bags first because they were the easiest. I tried, as I've mentioned, to create base sauces that could be used across multiple meals. I used the oven in one go for the oven components, and I tried to use the hob in one go for the hob components. So with regards to the mash and the wedges, I peeled a lot of potatoes and I boxed up mash to use as a side for the chicken casserole, but I also left some to top the fish pies. And I created a batch of wedges that we could have with our burger night as well. However, there was something I learned in hindsight here, that I totally underestimated how much mash our children actually would eat. And so next month, I definitely need to do an extra bag of potatoes, so I'm fully prepared. We're now coming up to the 4.5-hour mark once those meals had been assembled and stored, and I'd cleaned up my pans. And next it was on to cooking and assembling the fish pie. Fish pie is such a crowd pleaser in our house, but a complete faff to make from scratch, especially the potato element, on a busy evening. So I definitely was batch cooking this one. For me, the biggest barrier to cooking from scratch is time. Planning out the meals, making sure that I've picked things that are healthy but are food that everybody will eat, to doing the food shop, putting it away, making the meals on the night. It's just quite a big process from end to end. I don't know about you, but our kids are so exhausted in the afternoon that from 4 to 5 p.m, emotions are running high, and it can be quite challenging to be cooking a full-blown meal from scratch. We certainly found towards the end of our kitchen renovation that we were relying quite a lot on convenient freezer food. We treated the kids one night to some really tasty sourdough pizzas, the Croster and Mollica ones, as we spotted them on offer in Sainsbury's, which was absolutely delicious, but completely our downfall, as now they've decided they will only eat that margherita and they won't eat normal oven pizza. Hence another reason why I need to try and get my food spend down as we go into the new year. So going back to the fish pie, I saved some money here as I used frozen fish for this recipe. I found an offer where I had 3 big bags of frozen fish for £10. And so I split that fish across the goujons and the fish pie. I also bulked out the fish pie with frozen sweet corn and some leeks, which I'd sautéed, as then I needed slightly less fish for the sauce. Having already just made the mash, assembling the pie was pretty straightforward. Once that meal was done, we were coming into the final hour of the challenge and the last meal was ready to be assembled. The Bolognese had finished slow cooking, so I portioned out half of that for Bolognese evenings, and then I kept the other half back to use in 2 lasagnas. And I'd already made the white sauce for the lasagna earlier on when I made the mac and cheese sauce. One interesting thing I found out at this point was that because I'd made the mac and cheese sauce a little earlier on, I kept the leftover sauce in the fridge just to keep it fresh. And actually, when I came to assemble the lasagna, it held together much better using the chilled sauce. And when we came to eat it, the layers held again together much better than if I'd used a hot sauce from the pan. So I'm definitely going to remember that next time. If you're going to set yourself a time challenge like this, I do think you need a bit of strategy behind you. I was pretty strict with myself that this wasn't going to take me more than 6 hours. And as you can see, I did keep to time pretty well. But that was because I'd made a plan. And if you've ever been in charge of hosting Christmas dinner, you'll get exactly what I mean here. Take a look at what you're preparing and group the meals by assembly type. Make a list the night before, and I put how long I wanted each stage to take. And this helped me keep in check and make sure I was keeping to time. So here's the final time check. In just under 6 hours, all of the freezer bags have been filled, everything has been packaged up, ready to cool down and go into our freezer drawer. I am genuinely amazed by how much I did in that time, but I'm just so happy about how much time that this has saved me across the month. From a cost perspective, all of this food came to just under £150, as within that total, I priced up some of the extras that we would have on the side, like frozen vegetables, rice, pasta, burger buns, salad items, etc. But if you split it out, this works out at just over £1 per portion, which I was pretty happy with. So now for the part that surprised me the most. I mentioned earlier on that the mental load of doing the meal plan and cooking from scratch can feel pretty overwhelming, as you already have so many other plates to spin, especially if you're a parent. And the thing that I loved about this challenge is that load just got completely lifted. All of that decision making was taken away from me once the batch cook had finished. I didn't have to worry about what we were going to eat. We had a variety of meals that were healthy and nutritious in the freezer. All I had to do was remember to defrost them, a very basic amount of reheating or assembly on the day when we were ready to eat them. And genuinely, that made the month feel so much easier. If there's anything that's going to motivate me to do another challenge like this, 100% it was that. So I would be lying if I said my first go at this went perfectly well. And here are some mistakes that I made and things that I think I'll do differently next time. So as I said earlier, I didn't have enough saucepans, so I'm definitely getting some more in pans for my induction hob, so that I can really maximize the hob space that I have and cook multiple sauces at the same time. I also need to top up the amount of glass Pyrex dishes I have for the freezer for those meals like fish pie, which do need to be stored in that format. I learnt along the way that it's really important to focus not only on meals that fit your lifestyle, but correct portion sizes. So from a lifestyle perspective, we really liked the dump bag meals, especially that chicken casserole in the slow cooker, as it pretty much cooked itself. It was so easy. So we'll definitely do some more of those next month. I also learnt I completely underestimated the amount of mash my children eat, so I need to adapt that if I'm going to do that next month. Finally, I mentioned earlier the only thing I had to remember was defrosting the food, and I am slightly embarrassed to say that at the beginning of the month I did forget to defrost one of the lasagnas, and I quickly learned not to make that mistake again. When I look back on this challenge, I am delighted with how it went, and I am definitely doing it again for February, as the big food shop and the big cooking session are completely worth it for the time and money we've saved this month. It's been such a great start to the year for us, and it's totally refreshed how I've been thinking about how I feed my family. My mental load's been lighter. I've loved not having the stress of cooking every night, and I really hope this has inspired you to give this a go. Please do let me know in the comments if you're going to give it a try, and look out for my next attempt at stocking the freezer for next month. I'm also going to do some experiments with lunchbox fillers and snacks, so keep your eyes peeled for those too.